Before I get started, I was offered free money and by a place that I actually trust. Aspiration is offering until the end of the month to award anyone who signs up under the referral link $25. I ask that you give this fossil fuel free, no surcharge, people friendly, anti-corporation bank a chance. Sign up using the link in the description, tinyurl.com/crbanking. Join and get money, not pay money to join. All right, so it's been 2 nights of the 2020 presidential debates. So that's what we're working on, right? We're working towards November. But here's the question. Who won the debates? That's what everybody wants to know. Now, I went over this a long time ago. Who won the debates? Nobody but the moderators. First of all, how do you win a debate? You got to present your argument, don't you? You got to have a counter argument. You got to present your side. And then the way this country goes, the way these people, because I'm going to be honest with you, the majority of people that enjoy debates are almost deplorable. Why? Because they do it for what reasons? I want to see this person get crushed. I want to see this person get owned. I want to see how this person dominates. No one cares to hear about what's going to happen and how it's going to happen. There is more interest in who owns who than how we're going to live the next year, let alone the next week or the next month. There is more talk about stopping Trump than being for the people. There was a collective of great ideas in the first debate. Everyone on stage had a specialty in what could be done to make America great for once. It's instead of focusing sometimes on the presidency, focus on Congress, focus on the judiciary system, focus on all 3 branches. Okay? Legislative, executive, everything. Focus on it all. Not just the presidency, not just Congress, not just the Supreme Court. You know, it's 3 branches for a reason, so one doesn't topple the other. So we don't have a dictatorship. You got the president that'll throw out some stuff, and then you've got the legislative area that can counter the executive. You've got the judiciary, which can counter both. They're almost a separate entity. The judiciary area is we are where you go when all else has failed and is tied. Who is right? And when you have your entire government Republican, racist, money-grabbing ran, you don't have a government. You have a plutocracy. You have who's going to vie for money the most. So when it comes to the first debates, you listen to who is all about bipartisanship. Who is in favor of letting certain corporate areas just do what they do. You listen to who wants to work across the aisle, and you say, you have lost. You can say what you want, but if you're trying to work, listen, people, listen. If you are trying to work with the very people who have helped degenerate this country, you are not somebody I want to work with. It's that simple. Now, who won these debates? The moderators. How? Because you can go watch the debates 5 times over. Now, granted, the questions are framed. So when you ask a question, they have to accept that they know the framing, fight their way out of the framing or work within that framing to get their message across. It's not yes, no, maybe so. It's I hear this, I see this, let me explain this so I can have clarity and then explain how we're going to do things. Now, only very few people, 2 to 3 at most, on either stage had this is how I mostly plan to do things. But by the time they started talking about solution and how to get it done, every time, and I mean 100% of the time, go and check it, the moderators cut them off. It's like if you ask me, okay, Mr. Kennedy, how would you solve our medical crisis? Okay, and I would have to explain to you for damn near 30 seconds out of a minute why we are in this in the first place. I would have to say, well, because the for-profit medical centers are the ones that are price gouging, on behalf of Big Pharma, who has their pockets into our legislative branch, and also definitely supported by our executive branch. So in order to help that, I would have to, now this is when it's done, I've prefaced, now I have to say, because, and I've timed it, sometimes it was less than a minute. But then I would go into the whole, what we have to do is make sure that hospitals and other care areas are not for profit. We have to make sure that their profits are marginalized down to how much an item costs that they have to pay for. If they're paying $5 for an item, there's no need to sell it to be used for $500 to $5,000. There's no need. Then they would start cutting me off right then. As soon as I got a piece into that, they would start cutting me off. They did it every single time. It is legit that they knew. These moderators, it's set up to fail. This wasn't a presidential debate. This wasn't. This was, how can you get people on stage, have them barely say anything but acknowledge the situation and see who acknowledged it the best, and then cut off the solution. It was literally them versus the moderators. And then in the second one, Kamala Harris, she played the black card and did it beautifully. Because the moderators were asking the white people about black communities. Think about that. You want to ask, let's be honest, you want to ask some old ass white men who grew up around most likely a racist table or a disjointed table, an apathetic table, about a community that they didn't have to pay attention to because they lived well or decent enough. You know you're living decent or well enough if you can literally fight out of poverty to make yourself up there to the presidential run, let alone Congress in general. You're living pretty well when you can fight out of it. You're not living well when you struggle within it, and the only way out is not allowed because your ass is poor. You is broke. And there are a lot of white people that live like that. I'm not going to sit here and say they don't, because a lot of white people do, because you gotta, hey, make an omelet, right? So Kamala said, me being a black person, the only black person on stage, I would like to talk about, basically, ethnic situations. And there was a pause. You could hear it. Everyone paused, and they had no option but to say yes. As I was telling Sidra earlier, when she said, I'm the only black person up here, I want to talk about the black community and issues like that. If they said no and cut her off, it would expose the business. That's what the problem is. It would have exposed the business. All they had was yes. They had to pause, realize, fuck, we got to eat dirt. We're done. Yes, you can talk about it. And they gave her the floor for slightly more than a minute. She had what she had to say. She addressed Joe Biden and the busing. She called him out. Why? Because she was called out for supporting him and that segregation crap. Then she's like, oh, this is real. Now I got to change my tone. So now she calls Joe Biden out. And when she said, when you helped pass those laws, when you was basically saying not to go ahead with it, those couple of decades ago, you know what girl was part of that bus? Me. And the look on his face when he turned and looked at her like, oh shit. Just think about it. Look, If he didn't have makeup on, he'd look like a ghost. Joe Biden looked like he was caught like a deer in halogen headlights. He was messed up. And he had to sit there and realize the policies he was pushing affected a person that found her way to be his opposition for president of the United States. That is what you call your nightmare coming true. Also, something that was brutally egregious, I thought, so did Sidra, we thought about this whole debate thing, that when they tried to brutally own and collect the Latino and black vote the way they did. Okay? What was it? What was the term, Sidra? Appropriate. You know, honestly, I was going to say procreate. Appropriate the Latino vote and Latino vote. They started speaking Spanish. Why? Out of clear blue, just started speaking. Then all of a sudden, you know what? Julian Castro.
Yeah, he responded.
He responded, and then who was it? Who? Oh yeah, as Kyle Kalinske called him, bet on my stork, Beto O'Rourke. He started, and then when he started, I was like, because as soon as Julian started, I was like, now everybody's got to do it. He's going to have a piece of the Latino vote, but now the others got to do it and show, hey, I can speak Spanish too. And then Beto O'Rourke started doing it, and I was like, God damn it! You could hear how forced it was. Like, oh, now I gotta remember my Spanish. You could tell he had to remember it, and he did well, but it was forced. And then someone else had to follow suit, and then they ended it. And I was like, I get maybe. Look, it's a work. The whole thing is a work, and pro wrestling is called a work. It's set up to look good, but the thing is, to me, they failed. I didn't want to vote for almost anyone up there. Even Elizabeth Warren I didn't want to vote for because she keeps talking about access to Medicare. Access. I don't want access. It's a fucking right. It is a right that a black person can drink from the same water fountain as a white person. That means they don't have to buy the fucking water. But that's probably going to change anyway, seeing as our water is so goddamn polluted from all this deregulation that no one's really talking about up there on stage. I couldn't have been a candidate up there. I wouldn't have been too much of a debater. Do you know why? How would you have solved it, Mr. Kennedy? How would you fix, let's say, gun regulation? How would you fix climate? How would you fix how would you fix the medical situations? How would you fix the border crisis? How would you fix the outbreak epidemics? How would you get all of that? I would have easily broke it down with, and I would say, look, you can repeat my answer through and through for this whole debate. I would get money out of politics. How would you solve so many things? I would really try to advocate for wolf-pack.com. Get money out of politics. Pass an amendment. I want everyone to work on this. This is a national thing, and we need to work on it. Because Wolf-Pack is not a corporation. It's not money. It's about removing money. Therefore, I wouldn't be advertising for anything for any financial gain whatsoever. That's how that works. I would definitely have said, and then you want to solve, the schooling and poverty and things like that. I would be like, okay, take 66% of all profit from the military-industrial complex and all those military contractors, and we could, every 4 months, by 4 months, we would divide that with all the lower class families, those making $44,000 and lower. We can divide that money amongst them. It'll be tax free because it's profited money, and that'll be a great way for those military contractors to help out America. Because if you're trying to keep America safe, you want to make sure that the Americans in America is safe. We're not protecting the government; we're protecting the country. Bam, done, over. Just like watching Family Guy, you know, when Lois Griffin's, like, I think season 1 or season 2 was running for mayor, and just like, you know, well, how would you do this? And she went out and she spoke and she gave points and all this. It's like, they're not listening. I don't understand. And Brian's like, Lois, you have to understand that these people, they don't care about that. You got to be short, quick, and to the point. So she would go out 9/11. They're like, yay! Everything they asked, when it made no sense. 9/11. Jesus Christ. And they was eating it up. Obviously, that's a work. That was a cartoon. It's a work. But wait, if you're going to shake your head and say he's comparing this to a cartoon, what happened with tonight's debate, the second debate? Donald Trump is a mean man. Yay! How would you do this? We would fight Donald Trump. Yay! Joe Biden, how would you do things? What would you do? Well, you know, I was the first to pass this, I was the first to pass that, and although it's been 20 or 30 years ago, you know what? We're going to do this great, and we're going to do it again. Because I can get it done, I've done it, and I can do it again. Donald Trump. You know, well, what'd you say, Sidra? You muttered something.
That was aggravating.
She said it was aggravating. And it was. Because that's what they did. And Kamala Harris was great up there. I think she dominated Joe Biden. I think Joe Biden sucked. I think everybody up there almost sucked. Now, I don't know who that girl was on the end. The author, she's an author. She captured a little bit of my interest because it seems like she was well read on the policies and well read on being forward, but then she wasn't pigeonholing herself in one area. She was like, how did we get here in the first place? That's what they're not going to. They're like, okay, your time is up. Yeah. I was like, I counted 42 seconds. How in the hell that's a minute? It's not. I'm like, y'all had to cut her off just like anyone else when they finally got to the meat of things. But when they weren't saying shit, they gave them all the time they wanted. And they really didn't want to talk to Bernie Sanders. Hell, at one point, you know, yeah, granted, he said, look, you know, can you answer this question? And Bernie got started. He was like, oh come on, Bernie, because it's like they knew he was going to basically kill the poor framing and then explain it. But even Bernie wasn't offering solutions. And as it was said at one point, we don't need planning. You can plan all you want. You can plan everything and it won't get done. You have to actually do something. I like that. But then when it wasn't Trump, you know what it came down to the second debate? Women's rights. I am pro-women. You know what? That's nice. It's good to be pro-women. But you know something? Being pro-women is not being forward-thinking on solving all the issues. Now, granted, I know that they're pulling to get the women vote. I know that's all they're doing. And if you get the women to come out and vote in mass, men don't matter. Women outnumber the men in this country, just like damn near any other country. I get that. But if it's a presidential debate, what the fuck are they debating if you won't let them debate? You can't get out an entire thing in a minute. You can't. If I was wanting to host the debates, it wouldn't be a host. I would simply say this. Get on YouTube or some other social media. These are the questions. Answer that shit as long as it takes. Done. And you can go to anyone you want and listen. It could do it live. This one versus that one. I would hold it like a tournament. I'll be like, look, we're going to random this stuff out. It's going to be this person versus this person. And so forth until we get all, 20 of them down? Or however many it was. And then we're going to see, they're going to have a debate. We're going to ask these policy questions. We're going to ask specifically, how are you going to do it? How are you going to get it done? How will this roll out? And we would let the fans decide who the fuck wins that. That's how we would do it. You know why? Because the fans, the viewers, the watchers, the listeners, they're the ones that are also who? The voters. They should listen and hear everything someone has to say, no matter how boring or trivial or whatnot it sounds. Listen, because these are the people that's trying to run the goddamn country. So you shut the fuck up and listen to these people. You can't sit here and use it like some bullshit pageantry, like it's a Miss America thing. She ain't as sexy as the last one, even though she got damn near the same face and the same body shape, just a different dress. No, this is some shit. These are people that are going to run the country. In other words, if you get someone who is known to be anti-racist, anti-corporatist, you know what that does? That sends these racist bastards into the hiding where they came from. Because when Trump got in, all the racists said, we can come out and fuck black people and Mexicans up all we want. It allowed the cops to say we can shoot and murder whoever we want, and now it's in your face and you still ain't doing shit about it. Why? Because Trump is here. You need someone that's going to get up there and say, I'm not going to placate, I'm not going to have platitudes, I'm not going to say we can do better and be better and I can get it done without telling you shit. If they ask me, how are you going to reform the cops? I would have said simply this. What we're going to do is, when I get into office, my first 100 days, I'm going to pass shit that so nobody can argue with me. Cops, when you go out and kill somebody, you're going to pay for their funeral. You're going to pay their family whatever civil suit they try to get you for, because you killed them. Because you don't want to de-escalate. You want to escalate so you can use your guns and say you were scared for your lives. If you are that afraid for your lives at your job, get a different job. If you can't train these cops to not be racist, then you need to step down, get sued, go to prison or something for aiding and abetting these racist people that signed up to kill people. You are done. Your state wants to get funded. Every time somebody gets murdered by a cop, damn if that cop is found guilty or not. If it's obvious that this cop murdered someone, you have lost 10% of what you would have got next quarter. 10 deaths and you're fucked permanently. Trust me. Well, how are you going to have police if you're going to defund the police? If they want to be cops and they want to help protect and you want your precinct to actually do good, you will make sure that your officers don't murder people. That's how fucking simple it is. That's how that is. How would you stop endless wars? I'm the president. If I can bypass Congress and send them off the war, you know what I can do? Bypass Congress and say, bring them home. It's that simple. We are pulling out of Iraq. You pull out of somebody you don't want to get pregnant. You pull out of a country you don't want to kill people in. It's that damn simple. And then you say this. Well, what about when they come back and they have no jobs? Whose fault is that, Republicans? You send a job overseas, we're going to fine your ass 10% per job you send overseas. Not per 1,000 jobs, 100. Per individual job you send overseas. You lose 10%. So as soon as you close down and send a company, you've already lost. Damn, you negative some percentage, you owe us money. You're screwed. And you know what you all can say? That would never happen. That's lofty. That's crazy. You know what's crazy? Being someone in charge of saying that there were good and bad people on the Nazi and progressive side. Which side was the good side? The side that didn't mow down some white girl trying to kill black people. Let that sink in. I'm not going to vote. I'm not going to sit here and I don't have to try to defend anything. I'm forward thinking. I'm not incremental. I'm an extremist on these things. I want better days, not in the next 10 years, not the next 20 years, not by 2055. I wanted it 20 fucking years ago. There's no American dream so long as we're living a fucking nightmare. And people, these are leaders we're voting for. People who are going to represent who we are. And if we got Donald Trump, and look at us. Look at the racist murders. Look at the racist stuff on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Look at all these people, black kids looking for white friends and getting hung for it. Cops that say, get me your wallet, you're reaching, and then shoot someone like Fernando Castillo. Someone that says, get your wallet, it's in my truck, let me get it, don't reach, and shoot him in the leg and miss 6 other times. Shooting someone in their car to death 16 times because they were sleeping, and you bang on their car, waking them up and they're in a tizzy, and you shoot them. So when you see from the air, that stopped in the middle of the road with mental issues, that's a bad looking dude right there. He must be on something. That's where we are. That's who we are. And if that's who you like to be, get fucked. But if that's not who you are, you want forward thinking, you want better. You want a brighter future, not for your grandchildren, what they were saying on stage. I mean for you, right now. Why don't you deserve good times? Why don't you deserve to have better wages? Why don't you deserve to have sick leave? Why don't you deserve the ability to get an abortion when the fuck you want it? Why don't you deserve to have all the things now? Ask yourself that. Because they don't think you deserve it. I don't want, like I said, not in the next 10 years, 20 years ago. This is important. This is the primaries. You are looking at the people on stage that is going to legitimately look at you and say, you can't have Medicare. You can't have health care. You have to choose between paying the bills or living on the street. Which bills are you going to pay? Which bills can you afford? You want to have a car, you're going to pay the car payment or have it taken away? Because you got to choose between the car or the house. And sometimes you have to choose between your car, which is the house, and food, which is in the trunk of your car. This is the shitty state this country is in. This is America, the United States of America. And these are the people we are looking towards that is either going to keep us where we are, give us a few bones and make us think that we've gotten better, like a former biracial president, or someone that is blue and says that the corporates can do whatever they want. So long as we get the women vote, we're fine. Or we can finally sit down, shut the fuck up, open our ears, remove the partisan hack shit, and see who is actually going to work on behalf of us. Who is going to actually push the legislation? Because I'm going to tell you this, individually, as I said it earlier, individually, every Democrat up there, establishment or progressive, they in their own expert area, their small little area, had amazing, extreme forward ideas. And put in the right areas in the government would usher in nothing but amazing, positive, properly forward-thinking policies and ideas. But you need to choose the one that's going to be in charge of them. The one that can look at them and say, you are good here, work it. The president doesn't do all. The president is just a face. That's it. Congress does a lot, and they are simply just a face of the states and the counties. The judiciary is the ones that say this will pass permanently or not. And we need a president that has no problem saying we're going to rewrite certain laws so that the judiciary is not permanent. It is temporary. Every 2 years, that Supreme Court, it could be a yay or a nay. And if it has to break down to just one person on that Supreme Court until some others come up, then so be it. But when one president can stack the United States in a red area, because the true red scare has happened. This is a Republican-run judiciary system. And it needs to change. We need a president that is against authoritarianism in terms of this grotesque ways that's been happening. Someone that's forward-thinking, that's against the military-industrial complex, that's against the lobbyists, money and politics, and will make laws to make sure that that can't happen anymore. And we need, most important, you, the listener, to tell every one of your friends to just chill, listen, and think. Don't be partisan. Just think and listen. Do some research on these candidates and just listen. Don't be partisan. That's important. Look up the word partisan. Don't be it. Be better than that. I'm just going to end it there. This is Cedric Kennedy for Comparative Reasoning. Thank you for listening.